Well, as you can see, it's raining out today. I looked at the website for the locks and dams. The river's already up to over 16 feet, and it's going to get a lot higher. There's predicting close to 19 feet. It was 21, but I don't think it's gonna get that high, they're saying. I'm gonna head up to the pawn shop, and I'm gonna see if he's got any nice coins, maybe a Morgan dollar, 1800s, and we'll see if we can't make a nice ring out of that tonight on this rainy day. Something a little different. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll let you know what he's got when I get up there. Okay, we made it up here to the pawn shop. We're gonna go in here and see if this guy has any Morgan dollars, see what he's got. He's got some pretty nice stuff in here, a lot of coins. I haven't been in here for a few months, but let's see what he's got. Well, pawn shop's closed. Okay, so I made it back home. The pawn shop was closed. It closed at noon, unfortunately. I didn't know that. But after that, I go to my mom's to visit and told her I was looking for a Morgan dollar and stopped at the pawn shop, but it was closed. And she says, well, your great grandmother had some coins here, and I have them downstairs. If you want them, you can have them. I said, well, I don't want anything sentimental to make a ring out of. But she said, well, they weren't sentimental. They were just a bunch of coins that she had. And so she had them in a bag, gave them to me. And check this out. There's like several coins in here. I mean, mostly, Kennedy halves, no silver ones, mostly clad Kennedy halves. There's a few Ike dollars in there and some foreign coins. I saw a King George, couple King George large cents. It was nothing of great value, and my great grandmother didn't care about that. Right there's a Great Britain coin. Anyway, she had one in the pack. It's a 1921 Morgan. I wanted an 1800s, but this is going to do. It's still got some good relief on it. It's in pretty good shape. So this is what we're going to make the coin out of. And we'll get started. It's getting late. It's about 8 o'clock now almost. So we'll probably have to pick it back up tomorrow where we leave off tonight. I just wanted to say on the comments, I thank everybody for your comments. I really appreciate the comments. I'm trying to answer every comment I can. Earl Griffin commented. Thank you for the comment, but in my inbox, I get the comment, but when I click on it to reply, it's not showing your comment under the video. I'm not sure what's going on there. It's done that before, but I just want to let everybody know I'm seeing their comments in my inbox, and I'm not sure if there's a limit on comments for me. I don't know how this works or why it's not popping up, but if I don't reply, just know I see your comments and I appreciate all of them. And thank you all for supporting my channel. Well, hopefully we get into some good stuff here, but we got our Morgan and we'll get started here. This is like a rainy day project. Can't get down to the river. The river's coming way up. Tomorrow it's going to be too high to go down in there to look. But first day it's not raining. Even if the river's up, we'll go do something else. See what we can get into. So let's get started. It's 1921 Morgan silver dollar. These make really nice rings. They fold really well. And they are 90% silver. So this is going to turn out really good. These other coins, like quarters are really, they make a small ring. And they're really hard to fold because on the sides they're thinner here, and the head and the neck area of Washington is real thick. So when you try to fold it, it goes all wobbly on you, and it's hard to straighten out. Plus, they're clad. You can buy silver quarters, but I really like the Morgans. They make a really nice ring. And we're going to powder coat this with some color. It's going to turn out really nice. I've made a few of these, and I'll walk you through the process. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I do is I got my calipers here, and I'll measure the outside of the coin that we're using. We're getting about 38.20. So we want to take half of that, 19.10. Move this down to 19.10, or as close as we can get it. And lock it into place. Got this little block of wood here, and we can stick one of the points of our caliper in a little hole we put in the wood, and just scratch a little mark on the back of the coin this way, turn it, and scratch another mark. That gives us a little X where we can start the drill hole. Then we'll just take our punch, put it right there on the X, as close as we can, and just give it a little hit. Now, I have to wear these glasses when I'm working up close. No lie, I'm almost 49 years old, will be this summer, and no lie, my near vision went from 2 years ago here, being able to see, to there. So I'm failing fast, but I wear the glasses, I can see perfect. So the next thing we'll do will be to drill the hole in the coin, and I'll show you how we do that. Okay, I just want to show you our setup here. I have this piece of wood with a hole drilled in it a little ways down, and then a smaller hole in the center. This is 2 pieces that I put the coin in, and then I pinch it together in the vise. And right on our mark, I've drilled a small pilot hole, and I'm going to be using this stepper drill bit, and we're going to go down into 5/8. We're going to make a 5/8 hole in there. The main thing here is, the reason I'm using this stepper drill bit is once I get it started, it will not walk on me. If you take a big drill bit, like this is not even a 5/8 drill bit. If you took a big drill bit like this and tried to drill a hole, it will want to walk on you. And if you get the hole a little off, it's really hard to recover. Now I know this hole won't be perfectly centered because it's going to want to move a little bit, but this will hold it more stable than a regular big drill bit would. I guess you could step it up slowly until you get the 5/8 drill hole in there, but it just takes a long time, and these work really well. Now you can buy punches made for punching holes in coins. They sell all the tools that you need, but you know, they're expensive, and I just can't justify with the amount of coin rings that I make. I don't make a lot of them, so I just still use the drill method. So I'm going to show you how we get started here. Drill this hole, and I've got, just so I can see the 5/8 mark, I have taken a magic marker, a Sharpie, and drawn a line and colored the one I want to go down into. Let's just drill this hole, and we'll see how it goes. Always take this slowly. Never try to jam it through real fast. Just keep going until we get up to our 5/8 mark, and we'll push that one on through as well. One more step. Right there. So there we have our hole in our coin. We clean up all of our silver scraps. I got them all in a little bag here that I put them in. We'll clean those up, put them in the bag. Maybe we'll melt this down sometime, make a bar. Silver's not worth much, but I save it anyway. So here's our coin with a hole in it. We'll let that cool down for a second, and we'll pop it out of there, and we'll take our calipers and we'll measure all around, because I'm sure that the hole is not perfect. And this is the most important part when putting the hole in and starting the ring, is to have the hole perfectly centered. If it's a little off, even 1 millimeter off to one side or the other, then once the thinner side is going to want to fold faster than the thicker side, so than the wider side. So it'll make the coin ring go all cattywampus, and once it does that, it's very hard to recover from. So I'll let this cool down. We'll get it out of there, try to take this burr off, and we'll measure it up, see what we got. Okay, so we got our hole drilled there. We cleaned the burr up on it, and we measure around, and I've gone around this coin, and it's not perfect. We're going from 10.85 millimeters up to 1130 something. So we're about a half a millimeter closer to this side. So I'm going to take a Dremel tool with a little sanding bit, and I'll just take a little bit off. Not half a millimeter is not much. So we'll take a little off, and we'll get this perfect centered, and then we'll proceed from there. Oh, dang, Dookie, what you been eating? You cut a stinker, man. Wow. I'll get this centered up, and then I'll get back with you. Okay, so our next step, we got our hole centered. It's within, like, I don't know, 0.1 millimeters. That's pretty close enough. And what we're going to do, we're going to start the fold on this coin, and we're going to put the date on the inside of the coin, or the ring, and we're going to have this on the outside where it says, "In God We Trust, United States of America, $1," because it just looks a lot better. The design on the back side for the outside of the coin looks a lot better, and it's got this wreath that goes around here. In my opinion, it looks a lot better than the front side because there's not much detail. The face is mostly gone, and the date. It's got stars around here, but it looks a lot better when you do the back side as the outside of the ring. So what we're going to do, we're going to drop our coin in this little doming block we have here. I bought this at Harbor Freight. Bought this press at Harbor Freight, a lot of Harbor Freight stuff. We're going to drop that in there. We're going to take this ball bearing, we're going to put it on here, and we're going to press this down in the doming block to start the fold. Just press it down. You'll see the coin start to fold down into the doming block. Go slow with this. Always go slow. Never force it. And there, our fold has started right there. It's a little bit steeper on this side here than the other side than the left side there, but that's really close. I'm not really worried about that, because when we start it down in our dies, it'll straighten out. But if it's too far off, the hole's too far off, you can run into trouble. Always, another thing, always take sandpaper, lay it on the table, and rub this high point down. So if it does have a little bit of a scratch on there, that could start a rip and rip right through it. So you don't want to do that. Our next step, stink bugs everywhere. We're infested with ladybugs and stink bugs out here. But our next step is we'll heat the coin with this torch, and then we'll douse it in the water. What that does, On our coin, when you start to fold metal like this side here on the inside is going to be compressing and the outside is going to be stretching. So the molecules in the metal right now are under stress. You don't want that, because the farther you try to push it without annealing the coin, it may rip it. It just puts it under a lot of stress. So once you heat it up, cherry red, and dunk it, it'll relax all the molecules and you can start from fresh. Make sure when you're using silver, you keep it moving in the flame. You don't want to hold it in one spot. You will burn this or melt the silver and ruin your coin. So let's anneal this. I'll show you how that's done. Just takes a few seconds here. You don't really have to get it cherry red. I like to get it pretty warm though. Just when I see it start to turn color, you can see the metal like getting really shiny and clean doing this. Just keep it moving. Never hold it in one spot, like I say. I understand this is going to be a long video. I'm going to edit it down as much as possible. Okay, that's pretty good. And that's good. We're ready to start our next fold, or further fold. And I'll get back with you on that step. Okay, our next step is, we got our die here. I'll show you what those are. These are, I ordered these off of eBay. They're made on a lathe. It's just round stock with the middle hollowed out like a cone. It gets smaller as it goes down. I got varying sizes of these. We'll start with the bigger ones and we'll slowly work down to the smaller ones. This one here is really small. It'll make really small rings. You can shrink these down pretty far. So I got the biggest die here. I got a smaller ball bearing. Actually, these aren't ball bearings that came with this doming block set. I just cut the ends off of those, of a few of them, different sizes. We got our ball bearing there, and we put a few pennies up here because this shaft of our arbor press is too big and we don't want it going down and hitting the coin. So what we're going to do, we're going to shove that ball bearing, we're going to try to push it through. Folds down, and there it popped right through. And we'll continue to do this with larger bearings until the coin is folded enough to get it into our compression die. This is more of a folding die here. It's got a real steep angle. It's double-sided. It's got a real steep angle, so we're not yet hitting the side, the details of the coin. We're still just folding it. So I'll set up again and I'll continue to do this until it's folded a lot more than that, and then we'll put it into our compression dies. Always, after you fold it once, anneal it and quench it to relax those molecules. It works a lot better, and you don't risk tearing the coin or breaking it. But I'll keep folding it and I'll get back to you when I get it folded down a little more. Okay, you can see the coin I have folded, and that's about as far as I can go with the ball bearing. So that's about as far as you get it folded with your ball bearing. They make a cone that goes down in here. You can fold it even better, but I don't have one. Again, I'm working with cheaper stuff. I just don't make enough coins, like I said, to justify putting that much money into tools. Our next step, we're going to take this Teflon tape. This is regular pipe tape, and we're going to wrap it around the coin several times. I like to go 25 wraps. It'll be really thick and bulky on there, but it saves the detail when you're pushing it down in the die, because once it goes down in the die, it'll start flattening out here. You can see that curve in the outside. That'll start flattening out and compressing this ring into a flatter form. And like I said, I think I said that, the Teflon will save all the detail there. I'll get that wrapped up. Plus, this reeded edge around the outside of the coin, I like to take an old glove, cut a circle out of it, and put it on top of there also. Some of the Teflon will wrap up around, but it's just not enough to save the reeded edge, and I don't want to damage that. So I'll get that wrapped up, and we'll start with our first compression die, which will be this one here, and I'll show you how we work the coin down in there. And again, remember, anneal it after every step. Every time you fold it more, compress it more, make sure you anneal it and quench it. And I'll get that set up and I'll show you what I'm doing here. Okay, we've got our coin wrapped with the Teflon. 25 wraps. It's pretty thick on there because this is a lot of pressure to shrink this metal in. And when you shrink it in and you take this Teflon off, it won't be in layers. It'll just be one piece. It just compresses it together. Anyway, I wanted to tell you this. I will put this in the die, and then we'll get our little leather piece and we'll put on top of the coin like that to protect those reeds even further. The Teflon will protect it some, but the leather will keep it even further protected. Then we'll take this socket. I have sockets of varying sizes here, and we'll put on top of the coin and press it down in. Now, they make brass pushing rods that will bottom out in here and not damage and scar up the inside of your die. But I'm not putting money into brass pushing rods, like I said. So I'm using sockets. You can use these. You just have to be careful you don't go too far and bottom out on your die, because these sockets are really hard, a lot harder than this metal, and they will scar it up, and then you have to take your Dremel tool and try to dress it all up and smooth it out. But what I do is I drop the socket in there first, and I draw a little line around the side so I know where to stop right before I hit that line. We'll just take it a little bit at a time. Take the Teflon off, anneal it, get a smaller socket down. We'll keep doing that until it's compressed down. I'll show you the first compression. Now, when you do this, make sure your socket is centered inside your die, because there's a little gap around here because the socket's not all the way down in there. When I get a little further, I like to even wrap Teflon around the socket here to keep it centered in the die. But right now I'm just Hawkeyeing it, making sure the gap's pretty close all the way around, and we're going to compress it down. Keep it centered to get pressure on it. We're going to go down close to that green line. If you had the socket off to one side too far or the other, it'll shove one side of your ring down and the other side will just get smashed along the wall. So you don't want to do that. Be very careful. Almost to the line, and stop. Take our socket out. As you can see, it just tears your Teflon. Okay, let's get this out of here, tap it out. It gets pretty tight in there. I got this piece of wood, try to tap it out of there. Probably have to use a punch. This is not the reeded edge I'm tapping on. Okay, there we go. Get our coin out. And then we'll take our Teflon off. The next die, I will not be able to unravel it like this. It'll just be compressed into one piece. You can see it does not harm the outer sides, but there's still a little bit of curve right here. Our next compression is going to straighten that side completely out and start shrinking the ring. Our reeded edge was saved by our leather, so we're looking good. Now I like to, if I didn't tell you this already, I like to put a little bit of lithium grease in here too, just to make it slide down in easier. Makes everything work better. So I'll continue that process. I'll anneal it, wrap it 25 more times, find a little bit smaller socket, the one that fits it, and we'll press it down in. I'll do that a few times and I'll show you what we got. This is a long process, so I know this might be a long video, but I'm going to edit it down as much as I can. So as you can see, we're getting the coin pretty far compressed down. Fit my finger, it's got to go a little bit farther. We're going to compress it on down a little bit farther, and then I'll show you how we get this slight taper out of it. Because when you go in the cone like this, it's always going to have a taper this way, like a little bit of a cone shape. So I'll show you after I get this size down right now how I can straighten that out. And I like my ring. Some people like a flat ring, but I like my rings to have a little bit of a curve to them. I think it just looks a little bit better. Okay, we got our ring down to the size we want. A little loose. You want to make sure you don't go too far. When you start getting close to the size you want, take it down in the die really slow. Take it out and check it. If you have to compress it, 3 or 4 times, because if you overshoot it, that's when you need to have a ring stretcher. And I suggest if you buy a ring stretcher, don't buy this one with the double mandrel on it. Get the one with the single long one, because this thing has broken on me twice. The splines on the inside of this have stripped a couple times. I think it was because I was trying to stretch challenge rings, which are not silver. Silver's a little softer, and I put it under too much stress. So I had to move the handle way back here to where it had good splines. So I suggest when you get down close, just do a little at a time. But right now, what we're going to do, you can still see this ring has a slight cone to it. What we're going to do is we're going to grease up our die, make sure it's really smooth. We're going to put the ring in backwards like this, and then we're going to compress it down to shrink that other side down. Okay, we got the ring a little flatter. I want to go a little bit more with this. When I put it on, it's a little loose around this side and this side also. Now, I'll show you, I'll explain why this is tighter on the reeded side here in a minute. But right now I'm going to put it into this ring sizer. This has very tapered holes, so it will compress it. It takes a lot of pressure. And this ring sizer's been under some stress. It's broken, like I said, but try to push this down. Now you don't want to go too fast because this thing will really shrink it quickly. It's a really high taper. If I use this die, which is a low taper, it'll want to grab the sides more, and it might, that little reeded edge on the inside of the coin might get crushed, and I don't want to do that. I want to have the little reeds around the inside also. So give it a little pressure. Okay, check it. It doesn't take much. That's looking good. That's looking good. Check it, and it's tight on my finger. What I will do, let me wipe this off. What happens is when you shrink this coin down and fold it like this, the whole side of the coin over here will stretch and get thinner, but you're compressing the outside of the coin, which is going to make it get thick and fatter. And these coins have like a lip around the outside, so it's going to grab your finger and make it feel really tight going on. So I have this little cone with some sandpaper wrapped around it. After I get this where I want it, I'll come over here and we'll actually take out some of this inside. We won't go clear down. You can see the date in there, I think. Might be able to see that, I don't know on camera, but we don't want to hit that date. It won't hit it with that cone. It's pretty steep. And I'll show you when we get to that step. But I'm going to take it a little bit further on the inside, make it roll a little bit more. It's starting to look pretty good now. Okay, now you can see our ring. It does have a slight taper, but I went a little bit far. I need to take my own advice. I went a little bit far before I started fold the other side down and round it off. But I think it's still going to turn out really nice. Right now I'm going to take it to the sander. And we're going to take this lip that is in the original outside rim of the coin, and we're going to take that off so it's not so tight going on our finger. We just hold it here, sandpaper, and we'll grind that out. When I get this ground out, I'll show you what we got. Okay, you can see, I hope you can see this on camera. Let me get the light down here. That inside lip, that would have been the outside of the coin. The cone has taken it down, so now it fits our finger really nice. Our reeded edge is perfect. The leather protected all of it. So right now we're going to dress up these edges, smooth them out with sandpaper, and we'll clean it up and get ready for the powder coat. Okay, I got all the edges polished up. You can see that around here, real shiny. I almost debated just to leave it like this and wear it. Turned out really nice. But I think we're going to powder coat this because you're going to really like what I do when I powder coat it. It's going to look really good. We're going to do I think a red and blue camouflage pattern. We'll see how it turns out. You can see the "In God We Trust" right there. I hope you can see that. It was straight on the coin, but when you fold it, it gives everything a kind of rounded motion like this. The reef around it looks, the olive branch, look, I think is that what that is? Olive branch wreath around there looks really nice. If you can see on the inside, I hope, get the light there. It's pretty bright. Our 1921 date is right there on the inside. I know that's hard to see on camera. Turned out really nice. And it's getting late, so we'll pick up tomorrow and we'll put the powder coat on there, and I'll show you how that's done. Well, this will really put a damper on the artifact hunting. Oh man. Let's get this ring powder coated. Okay, we're back again this morning. Snowing out as I just showed you. Can't really go and do anything in the snow. So let's finish up our video. What we got here is we have our powder coat, Harbor Freight again. We got a red, we have a blue, and we have a black. And like I said before, the darker the color you have, the better the lettering on the coin will stand out once we sand that down to the lettering on the coin. Now, they make a powder coat gun. It has, I've never used one. I've never really even seen one work. They sell them, and they have, you would take your object that you want powder coated, and it has a little static clip that you clip on it, and then the gun would spray the powder coat on, and the static would cause it to stick there. I don't have this, so I came up with my own idea. I've taken a piece of wire and some fiberglass rope wrapped around here, and then wrapped over it with some fiberglass tape. You can see this, it's all black where I've done several coin rings with that. I got a piece of PVC pipe with a really fine mesh screen in the bottom. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our ring. You can see I have this slanted downward a little bit like this. That's so the powder doesn't get in our reeds, in our reeded edge. We'll put the coin up on the holder as like this. Now we're going to mix up some red and we'll put a little black in it to darken the red up. And then we'll mix it in this little dish, put it into the PVC pipe, and then we'll simply tap on the side and sprinkle this as we turn the ring like this, get it nice and coated on there, and I'll show you how we do that here in a second. Okay, we got our powder coat mixed up. We mixed a little bit of the black and the red to make it a little bit darker. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to take our PVC pipe with a screen on it, and we're just going to start tapping on this and turning it. I made a new ring holder with a little bit, you know, a beefier metal rod because the other one was springy and it was bouncing around on me. So this one works really well. So we're just going to tap on this. As you can see, it gets on there, spreads it out nice. And we'll just keep turning it and spreading it on there. Go all the way around, load it up pretty good. And we'll do this and then we'll put it in the oven, bake it at 400 degrees for about 15 minutes, and that will melt this and bake it on there really hard. Okay, we have it loaded up with red really well. Try to carry it really lightly over here to our little toaster oven. Try not to bang it or move it real hard or shake that powder off. Shut this and we'll bake it about 15 minutes at 400 degrees. And then we'll put our blue on. What this does, without that gun, it doesn't spread as evenly. And when it dries, it actually will cause little divots in the paint here and there. And when we put the blue on, it'll fill all those divots. So when we sand it down, it'll give it kind of a camouflage red-blue pattern. And it'll turn out really nice. You'll see this. It's pretty cool. Have you ever seen this movie right here? This is great. Honky Tonk Man, Clint Eastwood. Funny as can be. I'll get back with you when this powder coat's done. Okay, we've pulled it out of the oven. Our red's baked on. I don't know how well you can see this. You can see it does not go on smooth without the gun, but that's what we're shooting for anyways. It's real like dimply. Now the red turned out a little darker than what I thought it would, but that's okay. The darker the powder coat, the better the letters will stand out. Actually black, all black looks really well also. It looks really good. Now we're going to put our blue on. We mixed a little black in with the blue to darken it up. We'll do the same process. Sprinkle it on, and then we got to cover this really good. Cover it up real well, and then we'll put it back in the oven again, and we'll bake it and see if we got enough build up on there. You can still see a little bit of the lettering poking through. It's not shining through, but you can see it. The paint went in between the lettering and everything. So let's get our blue on there, and we'll bake that on. And I'll show you what it looks like next. Okay, we've got all of our powder coat on. You can see there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to start sanding this off down to the lettering. Let's pop this off. And you can see we didn't get any on the reeds. Sloping it downward keeps that from getting on the reeds. This lip will be shiny around this top lip. First, what we're going to do is we're going to start with a little aggressive sandpaper, 400 grit. And we'll wet sand this, dip this in the water, and slowly. You want to keep this as flat, your sandpaper as flat as possible. You don't want to get a small piece and push down in there, because we only want to expose the top layer of the lettering and the designs on this. Go lightly, it takes a while. Basically, we're just working our way around here. This is going to take a while. But you'll start to see lettering and things expose. And we'll get that work down. And this is 400 grit. We'll work up to 800. And then we'll go hit it with like 2000 grit. And don't push too hard. Just have to go lightly. It takes a long time, like I say. But I'll show you once we start exposing the letters. I'll show you what it looks like. And then we'll up the grit. Okay, you can start to see we're getting down to the lettering. You can see some of the lettering coming through now. I wrapped this piece of electrical tape just around the edge, bottom edge of this, because I didn't want to hit that too hard. Around the edge, it'll take paint off really fast. So I'll just keep on going with this, and I'll show you when it's finished. Okay, we've finished the ring, got it all buffed up nice and shiny. Turned out really nice. I tried to take some good pictures with my phone. I hope they turn out all right. I'll put them at the end of the video. Here it is. Reeded edge stayed really nice. The dates on the inside, all preserved. The wreath turns out perfect around there. Next time I think I'll go with a little bit darker color. I thought the red would have been darker, but it didn't turn out as dark. Yeah, that turned out really nice. I had a couple of people asking me to make them rings, and I don't make a lot of rings. I just don't have time right now, but I will point you in the right direction. On Facebook, if you go to Facebook, look up Laurel Mountain Connection handcrafted coin rings. Andy, he does a great job. He's got his own Facebook page. Check him out. He even makes wedding band sets out of the same Morgan dollar. He can make 2 rings out of $1. He's got all the punches. Everything looks great. Give him a shout. Tell him I sent you. He does really good work. And I hope you enjoyed this. It's been snowing out. We got about 4 inches of snow. That really puts the damper on the treasure hunting. But we'll get into something as soon as the snow melts. And I'll catch you on the next one.